Hi newbies, Nurse Ruthie here. If you're new here, nice to meet you. One day I just woke up and said, hey, I want to start a podcast. I want this podcast to focus on like tips, wisdom, focusing on newer nurses, nursing students, because it definitely must be scary, being a new nurse, especially post-pandemic. So today's topic, I want to talk about why nurses are leaving the bedside. Now, these are strictly my opinions, and here we go. So I feel like nursing school really does not prep you well. Yes, they prep you to pass the NCLEX, but as far as working on the floor, just simple interactions, even just being able to like knock on a patient's door, it takes the skill to do that, because you don't even know, first of all, when you walk in, they're like, oh, you're a student, don't touch me. Well, at least some people are like that. But, and I feel also like, as I was speaking about the clinicals, with the pandemic, there were some nurses that they couldn't go to clinicals. They were doing either labs, if they were lucky, but they were doing it online. So that is completely not, I don't know. That's crazy to me. Unfortunately, I just had a situation where there was a nursing student and she was great. She was great as far as a person. She was very smart, but when it came to the bedside manner, I was very worried. And it was her fourth semester. It was like her final semester. I recall when I graduated from nursing school and I started working on the floor, I felt like I knew nothing. I was like, wow, I didn't even know how to spike an IV bag or mix meds. So this goes out to any old school seasoned nurses. When you are precepting, let the nurses take the medicines out of the Pyxis, let them mix the medicine, let them spike it. Because those little things, it gives them so much excitement, and they actually learn how to do it. Another observation, as far as with new nurses or even just seasoned nurses, sometimes there's no support system. As a new nurse, you're learning a new culture, a new language. You feel like all eyes are on you. And you may feel like you don't want to sound stupid. Even as a nurse that has been a nurse for about 13 years, working in the ED for the past couple years, I don't know everything. I do not know everything. I have not seen everything. So when I ask a question, sometimes I do get looks, but hey, I don't care. I'd rather sound dumb and stupid, but yet find out the answer rather than pretend like I know. Most of the time, there's other people in the room that have the same question and they don't want to ask because they don't want to seem like a dumbass. And back to the support aspects. Again, nurses should stop. No more eating their young. This mean girl shit needs to stop. This is crazy. And also, when you see a nurse acting this way towards a newer nurse, stand up for her. Don't let that shit ride. Start changing the culture. Because like you learned in nursing school, no action is an action. What if that nurse was you? What if when you were going through your first couple years as a nurse, that one bitchy ass fucking nurse that always was up your ass for no reason, just being mean. What if somebody would have stood up for you and said, hey, leave her alone, she's new. Even if you just do it in a jokingly way, because that's going to make it that nurse that's picking on those nurses is going to be like, oh shit, they're watching me now. Now, some nurses also will state they're leaving the bedside because of the pay. What I have been told by some travel nurses is that the pay has decreased. I never got into travel nursing. I would think it's an amazing, great experience. It just wasn't for me. I like to be home. But what I have found is that a lot of nurses leave hospitals and kind of hospital hop because they get more money when they do that. But you also have to remember, like my hospital, we have amazing benefits. Our health insurance is amazing. Because we have to go to that hospital. It's very reasonable. Especially my coworkers who have children, they find that the insurance is very, very good. Yeah, you may go to this other hospital, they'll pay you $5-10 more, but how much is the insurance there? You're going to be paying way more for the insurance. The next thing I want to talk about is pretty much the culture. Back in my day, I feel like oldie. Back in my day, we respected our teachers and, nurses and Now, oh man, like patients are yelling at you over stupid shit. I mean, it is part of the process. When someone's sick, they're not themselves. But it could just be so degrading. It could just be too much, and you can become burnt out. A lot of times that's why you see grumpy nurses, and I'm sure like online and social media, you see these nurses and healthcare providers freaking out and just talking like shit to patients. I mean, yes, believe me, I've had patients call me all kinds of things, it's kind of funny, but I mean, I guess if you look at it. But when I first started, I would just cry. I would cry. This patient was like, "You're a crybaby. Tell crybaby to stop crying." Like, that was fucking mean. My God. But, I gave her grace, and I learned from it. And now, I don't take everything so seriously. I just send good vibes to them, pray for them, be grateful that I am not them, that I have a beautiful life. And I try to like spread kindness. And most of the time, even if a patient is like, when they start off, they can be really grumpy, just for real, kill them with kindness. Just keep doing your thing. Don't react. Because most of the time they realize, man, sorry I was being a bitch. Like, sorry, it's this or that, But that is why it is so important to have self-care. Tomorrow I'm going to have my massage and facial. I chill. I go to the beach. I do things that make me happy, things that make me joyful. Want to know what also brings joy pretty instantly? Is giving back to others, volunteering. It may sound like, I don't want to give my time away, but there's like some kind of chemical that goes off in your brain when you're like, when you're helping in like a soup kitchen, or you're, organizing things for someone, even just going over to someone's house to clean it. They may not, like your grandma, or someone like that's disabled, you go over there and you can just help straighten out, maybe take the garbage cans in for your elderly neighbor, something simple like that. It brings joy, and you get what you put out into the world. That's 100%. Definitely take time to do things that make you happy. Take your breaks at work. I mean, read your contracts, because in Florida, actually, it's not mandatory for you to have a break. It's not against the law, at least in the hospital. I looked it up. This is a right to work state. So, I just go by my contract, and what it says. It says I have available 2 10-minute breaks, if time allows, but I do get a 30-minute break. And especially in my facility, they take the 30 minutes out of my paycheck. You're damn right. I am going to take my lunch. But it just resets your mind. You may not think, I don't need to take a break. I'm fine. I'll just sit at the nurse's station. No, you need to get away. Go sit in your car for the 30 minutes. Go sit outside for 30 minutes. Stop hearing the call lights. Stop hearing complaints. Resets your day. Also, we do work long hours usually as a nurse. I know you want that overtime, but when you're on day 5, day 6, you cranky as hell. Is it really worth it? Is it worth your health? Because I know that sometimes when I work like a long stretch like that, guess what happens on my day off? I'm sick. It's probably because of all the stress. So definitely think about your schedule. Another thing that I would say some nurses are leaving the bedside is management. Not so much my manager. I gotta say that, but actually my manager is great. But I would say management, their charge nurses, it's all about their attitude. Now, I admit, I hate being in charge. I hate it. That's something I'm trying to work on. Trying to be more positive, because if I'm going to speak about it, I need to be about it for real. But managers can make or break you. Charge nurses can make or break you. Oh man, I remember when I worked at HCA, there was this charge nurse, man, she put me in the psych unit all the time. And these patients, man, I can't really say much about HIPAA, but because of HIPAA. But this nurse, she obviously hated me. But yeah, she would ask me, how you doing? And I would say with a big ass smile, I'm doing great. This is wonderful, because I didn't want her to see how fucking pissed I was. And I believe everything happens for a reason. It takes a certain kind of person to deal with psych patients. You can't be confrontational. Got to be understanding. And then now back to management. Recognition. We all want recognition. If you work in an atmosphere where all they're doing is pointing out bad shit you've done, that could be like kind of like stressful. It's great to have an environment where they're like, hey, good job, here's a gift card, here, thank you for staying over, thank you for coming in. Like researching all this, I'm like, I feel like I work in a utopia, like the perfect nirvana, the perfect facility because at least for right now. But I want to talk about my CEO, man. He is amazing. So he makes us go to these meetings. Thank God they're kind of virtual now, but they are mandatory. And at first you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. But then when you're there, you are, I mean, at least I am so motivated. I feel like I'm like part of the growth of the hospital. And one thing that I always feel, there's many things that I like about my CEO, but he says, take care of yourself first, not the patient. And this theory just makes sense to me. If you, like I said, take your breaks, take your vacations, you're going to be a happier person. Because I know I get hangry. You can ask any of my coworkers. They know when I'm grumpy, it's because I'm hungry. I say I got to take my break. Newbies, I usually don't like to go over 10 minutes, so my bad. But I hope you learned something. And remember, always treat people how you want to be treated. Bye. Hey newbies, if you're liking this podcast, or even if you don't, like, share, and subscribe. See you next time. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speaker and do not reflect the views or position of any entities they represent.
Oh, thank you.